Solomon, for thousands of years, his name has echoed through history as the very symbol of wisdom, of incredible discernment, and of immense power. He was the wisest man who ever lived, a king whose judgment was sought by queens from distant lands. Yet, there is a profound and often overlooked truth hidden within his story. Solomon's legendary wisdom did not, in the end, save him from himself. It's a paradox that speaks directly to the core of the human condition. Let's journey back to the height of his glory. Imagine the kingdom of Israel under his rule. This wasn't just a kingdom, it was an empire at its zenith. Solomon, the great builder, erected the magnificent first temple in Jerusalem, a house for God built with cedar from Lebanon and overlaid with pure gold. He constructed fortresses that secured his borders and a palace so grand it took 13 years to complete. His reign was a golden age. Commerce flourished, alliances were forged through brilliant diplomacy, and wealth poured into Jerusalem. The Bible famously states that in his days, silver was considered as common as stones. His fame was not a local affair, it was global. His name was whispered with awe in the courts of faraway kings and sung in the marketplaces of distant lands. He was the master of proverbs, the poet of love, the philosopher king. But here is where the story takes a turn, where the gleaming facade begins to show its cracks. The same man who could master complex legal arguments and dispense perfect justice found himself unable to master the kingdom within his own heart. He became a prisoner of his own desires, a captive of the very abundance he had created. The scriptures tell us he had 700 wives, princesses from other nations, and 300 concubines. Now, for some, this might seem like the ultimate display of power and influence, a testament to his status. But for others, and indeed for the narrative of his own life, it was the definitive mark of his downfall. It's a timeless principle. The greater the kingdom of man, the more difficult it becomes to rule the kingdom within. Solomon's grand vision, in a way, was his undoing. He seemed to believe he could love the whole world, that he could unite all nations under his influence, not through conquest, but through connection. He married foreign princesses to seal political alliances, a standard practice for kings of his time. But in embracing all these nations, in welcoming these women into his court, he also opened the door to their gods. The heart that had once so purely and humbly sought divine wisdom in a dream asking not for riches or long life, but for an understanding heart began to drift. He found himself wandering through the smoke of foreign temples, building altars to gods his own faith condemned. His political passions and his personal affections became entangled, pulling him away from the source of his original strength. The wisdom that was meant to be his guide, his liberation, became a kind of golden cage. Perhaps he believed he was wise enough to handle it all, to compartmentalize his life, to worship God in the temple while appeasing his wives' gods on the hills outside Jerusalem. Maybe he thought his intellect was so vast that he could dabble in everything without being corrupted by anything. But no mind, no matter how brilliant, is immune to the slow, creeping influence of the heart's desires. His wisdom, which once set him free to build and to rule, now trapped him in a web of compromises and contradictions. He had everything a man could want, yet he lost the one thing that truly mattered, his undivided heart. There is something so deeply, so achingly human in Solomon's fall from grace. It's a story that resonates far beyond the ancient world. How often do we do the same in our own lives? We seek more knowledge, believing it will give us all the answers. More success, believing it will finally make us feel secure. More love, believing that another person can finally make us feel complete. We chase these things, convinced that with just a little bit more we will arrive at a state of permanent satisfaction. But, as Solomon discovered, excess doesn't complete us, it consumes us. The hunger for more is a fire that, if left unchecked, will burn down the very house we are trying to build. So, what is the ultimate lesson from the life of the wisest man who ever lived? It's not really a simple moral about the dangers of polygamy or the evils of idolatry, though those elements are part of the story. The deeper lesson is about human limits. It's a stark reminder that even the most brilliant, the most powerful, the most gifted among us is profoundly vulnerable to the desires of their own heart. We can have all the knowledge in the world, access to all the information on the internet, degrees from the best universities, but if we haven't learned to govern our own inner world, all of that external wisdom is fragile. True mastery, Solomon's story teaches us, is not found in ruling over vast kingdoms or amassing incredible wealth. It's not about having the admiration of the entire world. True mastery is self-mastery. It's the quiet, daily, often difficult work of ruling over our own impulses, our own pride, our own insatiable appetites. It is the wisdom to know when enough is enough. In the end, as an old man looking back on his life, Solomon himself came to this very conclusion. In the book of Ecclesiastes, attributed to him, he writes with the weary voice of experience, "Vanity of vanities, all is vanity." He had chased every pleasure, explored every avenue of knowledge, built every monument, and found it all to be like chasing after the wind. It was all fleeting, all temporary. The real substance, the real meaning, was found elsewhere. His story is a powerful warning that all the wisdom in the world, without humility, can curdle into a form of madness disguised as light. We can become so convinced of our own brilliance that we believe we are the exception to the rule, that we can handle the temptations that have brought others down. But Solomon, the wisest of all, stands as a timeless testament that no one is the exception. His life is not just a tragedy. It's a profound and generous lesson. A lesson in humility, a lesson in the importance of the heart, and a lesson in knowing that the greatest kingdom we will ever rule is the one that lies within ourselves. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more explorations into the wisdom of the ages. See you next time.